Yo, what is up, guys? Xenon Great here. It's been quite a long time. Sorry about that. I've just been busy doing other things. Today we're going to talk about Mr. Cerberus. Okay, we're going to go look at his skills, we're going to look at his awakening, so on and so forth. Kind of talk about where he's good. This is one of the few legendaries that have been avoiding me this entire game, and I am so excited for this weekend. This is my opportunity to actually complete the faction trial for Cultist, given that you need to deploy 3 fighters to get 3-star. That is the last thing I need, and this guy will basically give me it. So let's get started here. He's got basic attack. When deployed, he immediately spawns kind of like a pool around him that does 200% AoE damage. It says right there, creates water of decay beneath the hero's feet, and then dealing 40% AoE damage to multiple enemies per second. And so as they walk past him, and also as they are in front of him or to his sides, they will take damage. You can see his range per se looks a little strange. It's just a single square, but it's kind of like it fills out the 8 squares around him. Furthermore, his talent, so it summons that water of decay, as we said, on the ground at the location of the enemy with the highest HP at the cost of 20% of his HP every 14 seconds. So he does slowly die because he's a chaotic hero, but this AoE now inflicts 30% damage every second for 6 seconds. So that's like 180% AoE. And then whenever this hero takes damage, the cooldown is reduced by 2 seconds. This hero cannot be healed or revived by allies, which is important to note that before there was a glitch where he was allowed to be healed, but now he cannot be healed. There may be an artifact that helps him heal, but regardless, he can't be revived by Valkyra or any of those heroes, whereas Aatrox can. So Aatrox can kind of get a double AoE down on the ground. And then each death extends the revival time by 30 seconds. So he initially has a 60-second revival time that goes up 30 seconds, and then after that 2 minutes if he dies again. Regardless, it's worth it. This guy is nuts, let me tell you. His ultimate skill, so he'll increase the damage by 70%, and additionally, each instance of damage dealt will inflict 50% slow. So you can see he basically ups that AoE that he initially had set, and then the 50% slow is very similar to, say, Captain Reeves. You know how Captain Reeves has that AoE around him and enemies are slowed within it. It's nice because this also applies to, I believe, Morgan's faction lead. She makes it so heroes do additional damage if they're damaging enemies that are slowed or frozen, so on and so forth. Up next, this is that Water of Decay we keep saying. It's an actual skill. Upon death, generates this ground effect area. So once again, another ground pool, and it deals 100% AoE damage per second for 12 seconds. So 1200% AoE damage, which is huge. And you can see after skill ups, ground effect area duration goes up to 20 seconds. So that's 2000% AoE damage as the enemies are sitting in this pool, which is why he is absolutely insane for Immortal Codex, and why when I get him on my team, I can finally go from SS plus to SSS. Anyways, pretty nuts. You can see him dying here. You'll notice that the pool spawns around him and the skulls and everything. So there his ultimate was triggered. Give it a second. He dies. And then there's that pool. A big pool around him. Okay. Evil Anointing is another passive of his. It reduces his cost upon his first deployment by 6. So he'll have 11 cost initially. You see here, upon his first death, reduces the next deployment cost of every allied mage by 1. I did not know that, actually. So say you have Vierna and whatnot, and Vierna costs 20. Upon his death, she'll cost 19. It appears that also goes up by a lot. So cost reduction for allied mages is increased here, which is confusing because it's actually decreased. So reduces the next deployment by 2. And then his first deployment is reduced by 9. So he'll be a measly 8 cost initially when you max this out. Not only that, but in Arena, you know, this is normally 5, but given that he has all those cost reducing things, this is 2. So in Arena, he'll start out with 6 cost only. Pretty ridiculous. Guy is an absolute beast in AoE DPS, and the other ones, not so much. But AoE DPS, absolutely. You can see here, very, very high base attack. That's very close to Salazar, actually. Base HP is really high too, which is good because the longer he's down, the longer he gets the initial, you know, AoE effects off. But then you do want him to die because that's when he really shines, when he dies, because he leaves that massive area of effect. Let's take a look at his awakenings. Awakening 1, so within 10 seconds of being deployed, all of these extra ground area effects are going to slow enemies. So initially as he's placed down, you know, enemies that walk by, slowed. And I believe that's 50% the same as his other skill. Awakening 2, a nice 5% increase to his attack. And this is on the base attack, not on that extra green attack, you know. When HP drops below 50%, it doubles the damage dealt by the ground effect area per second. Now, that's a massive awakening, doubling the damage of his ground effect area, which is basically all of his damage. So, with the assumption of how this is phrased, if he dies, I'm not too sure of if the pool afterwards goes to 4,000 AoE DPS. But if that's the case, I mean, that's kind of ridiculous. Awakening 4, a very nice Awakening 4. It's rare you see them. Crit rate. Crit rate plus 8% makes it far easier to gear him. You know, you don't need those perfect crit rate stats, like substat to be 20% on every single piece of gear at least. Awakening 5 reduces the cooldown of the talent effect by 3 seconds and the HP consumption by 5% max HP. So, look at his cooldown. There's a lot of different ones. I do believe it applies to this first one. So summons set water decay, location of the enemy with the highest HP at cost of 20%. So this will be 15% of his max HP. And then that'll be every, what did it say, 2 seconds? 3 seconds. So it'll be every 11 seconds that it places it. But yeah, overall, this guy's ridiculous. AoE DPS, like I said, Arena, should be a 5. Immortal Codex, Conqueror Stage, should be a 5. EXP raid, Gold raid, I mean, whatever. Those are, you know, okay. But the Gear raid one definitely could be up there as well. He does very well clearing those massive, massive waves that come out. And then his AoE is able to touch everything. As for all these other ones, I wouldn't really use him. Definitely nothing with, you know, air units or anything like that. But yeah, guys, let me know if you're going to be pulling for Cerberus this weekend. I'm super excited for this. I've been waiting for this guy for quite some time. We have, I think, about 350 summons, which I'll probably make a summoning video. I never do that, but I think this time will be one of the first. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know. I'm glad to be back, and I hope you guys are ready for what's to come. Thanks for watching, and peace out.